Hey, Will, how are you?
Hey Jill, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good to see you.
And you, yeah.
I hope that one day we get to be in the same place at the same time and record in person.
In the same studio, our own podcast studio.
Yeah, right? Big goals. Okay, we have 4 topics to cover today. The Justice Department and FTC, Federal Trade Commission, are investigating Microsoft, NVIDIA, and OpenAI. Apple Intelligence, of course, which was just announced on Monday. Elon Musk's ex post about banning Apple devices from his companies if Apple really is partnering with OpenAI, and Mistral AI's recent funding round. So, why don't we first tackle an article that I read? US clears way for antitrust inquiries of NVIDIA, Microsoft, and OpenAI. The Justice Department and FTC are investigating these companies and their role in the AI industry and whether or not they're dominating it. Supposedly, the Justice Department is going to be focusing on NVIDIA. For those listening in, it's a company known for being the biggest maker of AI chips. And whether or not the company has violated any antitrust laws, the FTC will focus on OpenAI, which we all know is known for ChatGPT, among other innovations, and also Microsoft, which has invested $13 billion in OpenAI and other AI companies. A bit of background here is that in 2019, the government investigated Google, Apple, Amazon, and Meta in regarding violations against anti-monopoly laws. What do you think about the government taking on these tech giants? Is it surprising, or do you think it was only inevitable that it would happen?
Yeah, I think it's definitely inevitable that it'll happen at some point, just as it did with Facebook, Meta, TikTok as well recently. It's inevitable that the US government and it collides with the tech world and they start introducing regulation and policy, those kinds of things. I think it is a good thing that it's happening now, because so far the only big clashes I've heard of with AI is lawsuits like Elon Musk suing OpenAI, big or just big investment deals. So it's good to see that the Justice Department and FTC are now looking at investigating the AI company. It's a first step at introducing regulation. I think it's a critical time to introduce that stuff. Yeah.
So, since you just mentioned Elon Musk, I think we ought to talk about his Twitter post or X post, where he said he was threatening to ban Apple devices from his companies over OpenAI partnership. He posted on X stating, if Apple is really partnering with OpenAI, then he's going to ban Apple devices from his companies. His concern seems to be whether or not users' information will be protected. This opened up a lot of questions for me about, and I'm going to fire off a bunch of questions. I'm not actually asking you to answer them. I just kind of wanted to share things that I think other people are also thinking, like what exactly is shared? Is it anonymous? Are there options for controlling what's shared? What happens if there's a data breach? Could data be used for targeting advertising? I mean, I could have gone on and on and on. Do you think that this concern is actually a valid concern? How seriously do you think Musk will follow through on this threat? What are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I think it's a very Elon Musk type Twitter post. It makes sense it's coming from him. It reminds me of that one we talked about a few weeks ago where Microsoft introduced that feature where AI will basically look at your whole computer and monitor you constantly. And he said, I'll definitely be turning this feature off. So I think this is in a similar vein to that. And I think it is good he's saying it because he obviously got a lot of influence, especially in the tech world. And someone that influential saying this will make companies, shift in that direction or more conscious about this. But also relating to Apple Intelligence, which I think we're going to talk about in a bit, they say that with their AI, they've got 3 policies that ensure that with great powers come great privacy, is the slogan they're using on their website. And they say that your data is never stored. It's only used for your requests. It's aware of people's personal information, but it doesn't collect your personal information. So, I mean, that sounds good. Like it has to know about your contacts, who you're messaging to be able to use the AI in the way it wants to, but it doesn't collect it. So I guess it doesn't store it, analyze it, and use it to inform other people's answers. It's just like a one-time interaction with your data.
So we may as well talk about Apple Intelligence then, since we kind of went that direction. Apple Intelligence was announced Monday during the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's going to be available in beta this fall. It will be built into the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac. By the way, in order to use it, you have to have the 15 Pro or higher, for instance. So if you don't have a compatible device, and there is a list of them on the website, you won't have access. It looks like it's going to offer features to assist with writing, suggestions, search, image creation. suggested priorities in your inbox. It will collaborate with Siri and have a ChatGPT integration, which is what we were just discussing. I particularly also zeroed in on the privacy, as that's always a number one concern. And I mean, Elon Musk brought that up. Apple's site specifically states it's on-device processing. Your data is never stored. It's only used for requests, verifiable, privacy promise. I actually am very curious about this one. Like, I want to test it out. I have the iPhone 15. I'm assuming I'll have access to it. I'm usually very hesitant at first, and I kind of like to let everybody else play, and then I check it out later, but I sort of want to hop on the bandwagon with this one. So are you excited? Do you have reservations? How does this tie in with what Elon Musk said about privacy and what we just discussed?
Yeah. Well, Joe, unfortunately, I've only got the iPhone 13, so it might be a bit longer for me to have access to the AI.
Oh, I might be able to test it out before you do.
Yeah, I'll have to listen from you. Yeah. But no, I think it's really cool. I watched the developer conference. They gave a really good example where one of the people working at Apple, her mom was coming to town and she had a flight in, and she just asked Siri, what time is my mom coming? And the AI automatically took that email, looked that flight data up and checked, if the flight was delayed or if it was landing all right. And then also in the email, it said something about, oh, let's go meet at this Italian restaurant in Manhattan. And then she then said to the AI, oh, how long is it going to take us to get there from the airport? What time is it open? And something like about a reservation. And the AI did all of this. And the key thing there was that you could basically do all of this stuff without ever having to touch the screen, without ever having to leave the home screen, just by using your voice, which I thought was really cool. And a step above what you can do with Siri, because you can already do things like, send my mom a message or what time is my mom's flight arriving. But the way it kind of strung these different processes together and could read the email and then go into maps and find the directions and then find the time it was open, that sort of thing.
This is reminding me of, I had interviewed Derek Curtin and he had gone to CES, and one of the products that people were talking about there was called the Rabbit. And after we spoke about it, I hope I'm getting the name right now. I'm thinking about it. When we spoke about it, I remember saying to him, how is this really different from like my Google Home? I can do a lot of these things from my Google Home. However, now I'm looking at the intelligence, which is on an Apple device, which I have and I use every day. That's totally different, which I think is part of the reason why I'm finding this so intriguing, because I'm putting it on a device that I use all day long. So if I have so much of my life on this device, which is actually very scary if you think about it, the reliability that we have and the fact that I could just say, hey, when's my mom coming in for a visit? What time is my reservation for dinner? When do I have that work meeting? I think it's awesome. Now that I'm saying all these things, it's making me a little concerned, but I really like this whole concept of the on-device availability.
And not having to get another device.
Yeah.
And the thing that put it into perspective for me was watching the whole conference, talking about multiple devices. They've got their, obviously, iOS for their iPhone. They've got their Mac OS for a laptop. But then they've got iPad OS, so for iPads. We kind of knew about that. Then they've now got Vision OS, so for your
Yes.
They've got Watch OS for your watch. They're ticking off they've got Home OS or something like that for your speaker in your home. And they've got Apple TV for like your speaker for your TV. They're basically ticking off every area of your life is now going to run on some Apple OS and also have a AI on it. Just watching it back to back like that for an hour really was like, oh, they have basically every aspect of your life.
So let's talk about the last topic. Mistral AI lands huge $640 million round. Few basics and background knowledge. Mistral AI is an AI startup from France that provides developers and businesses access to open and portable generative AI solutions. It's a competitor to OpenAI and Anthropic. Some of its LLMs are free. Others that use its proprietary LLMs are paid for services. The round that made up the $640 million was $500 million in equity, $140 million in debt, which made up the total of $640 million. General Catalyst, a venture capital firm out of Massachusetts, led this round. There are many investors. I happened to look at the list, but I noticed Cisco, IBM, NVIDIA, Samsung, Salesforce as some of the recognizable names on the list. My question for you is $640 million has a wow factor, right? Although I'm not surprised because there have been a lot of investments since 2022 around AI. Do you think this funding might give it a boost since its competitors are considered bigger tech?
£640 million will definitely give it a boost, yeah, for certain. I think the interesting thing is when you compare it with like its bigger tech competitors, such as even Anthropic. Like Anthropic, I think received like 2.5 billion round from Amazon, something like that. OpenAI is receiving billions from Microsoft alone. So yeah, it is definitely like kind of on a step down from those big tech giants. But I think it reminds me a bit of the company Hugging Face as well. So they're both French companies. And if I'm correct, I believe Mistral AI is an open source AI, and Hugging Face is also an open source platform, kind of giving code around artificial intelligence, different models, making it widely available to everyone so people can build their own stuff. And I think that is really important. There's kind of this debate between open source and closed source. I'm sure you've heard some about it. And OpenAI's original mission is open source artificial intelligence, hence OpenAI. And there's been a lot in the news recently that they're kind of veering away from that mission, not staying true to it, pursuing basically profit and not sticking true to their core values. So I think it's really, really good and really important that other companies are staying true to this open source mission and kind of democratizing AI, although there is also a negative side to open source software. It's not all, hunky-dory.
I'm curious what happens over the next week or so. In the meantime, I can't wait to chat with you again next week. Well,
yeah, same. Yeah, thanks for chatting. And we'll have some more AI news next week.
sounds good. See you soon.
See you. Bye.